Good evening. Hope you're all doing good. Today's question is about a leadership of a particular institute. So, you are the head of an institute, and the institute's reputation, institutional values, its work culture, and of course, your personal integrity are at test because you're heading a leading technical institute in the country, and the institute is planning to convene an interview panel very shortly under your chairmanship for selecting of the post of professors. A few days before the interview, you get a call from personal secretary of a senior government functionary seeking your intervention in favor of the selection of a closer relative of the functionary. The PS also informs you that he is aware of the long pending and urgent proposals of your institute for grant of funds for modernization, which are awaiting the functionary's approval. He assures you that he would get these proposals cleared. What are your options? And evaluate them and choose the way out. As I have said, you're heading a leading technical institute in the country, and you're given the responsibility to select professors because you're chairman of that selection commission. And then you get a call from chief, the personal secretary of a major government functionary telling you that a close relative of his is coming for this post and you might have to give him a preference. If you don't give a preference, there are some proposals for your institute which are waiting for modernization, which may be in jeopardy. So, what is the situation you're facing right now? One, either you select this person, or some funds which are most important for your institute's future are put on hold. In this case, the functionary is interfering in my government duty by abusing his role, of course, because he is a senior functionary. He has the discretion to stop funds to your institute and he is abusing it. As the head of the institute, I have the responsibility of recruiting qualified professionals on one hand, and on the other hand, to get necessary funds for institutional growth. What would you choose? So, either you could just say that you're going to recruit that person, or you could say, no, I won't recruit this person, but your institution is at stake. What are you going to do? Let's just examine the options clearly. Before examining, I just want to highlight one thing. In these instances, it is not about corruption. Okay, so this man has forced me to do something wrong, so I'm going to launch a complaint against him. So it is a very rigid way of solving problems. You have a situation, so you're heading a panel, one person is going to come, so there is a recommendation for this person. If you don't give recommendation, I'll just if you don't recruit him, I'll stop funds that are coming to your institute. So this is the situation. So one rigid and hard way of handling it is to report to seniors, go to the media, shout about it, and create so much noise. Otherwise, you could just be wise enough and neatly and without much noise you can address the issue. So when you're leading institutions, it is advisable to stay in the background, let the issue be handled very easily without much friction. So what is the easiest route that you can choose to solve the problem? You have to be finding such routes. So it is easy to say that you'll go to the media, that you'll go to the police, that you'll go to the seniors. It's easy to say all these things, but as a head of an institution, you should also be thinking about your institution's values, right? So and also you should display leadership skills to tackle various people, various attitudes, and to be able to smoothly negotiate through them. So let us examine the options now with this context in mind. So one option is to recruit the relative as per the recommendation of the functionary, and another rigid option is to just reject the functionary's offer. And one more, discuss with panel members, because you're head of the panel. There are some more panel members. Of course, that panel is yet to be constituted and you can take a decision later. Complain to higher authorities or media and not committing anything to functionary. Let us just examine. What if you recruit the relative? As funds are available, institution will be benefited, of course, but merit won't be rewarded. And more important than that, the functionary who is troubling you is abusing his power. There is favoritism, and such favoritism will hurt the work culture of your institution because it is a leading technical institution. So, the institute's reputation, the institute's value system, the need for meritocracy, everything is at stake in this particular issue. And if you just recruit the person as per recommendation, the relation with functionary may further benefit the institution, right? So you're going on good terms with this functionary and it might benefit the institution. He may keep some funds supplying. However, it's not just an abuse of power of functionary but also abuse of your position as head of the panel, right? You are expected that you will take a decision based on merit, objectivity, but you are violating it based on favoritism, right? That conflict of interest demerit is a demerit to this particular solution. Reject the offer. This is one more extreme. So on one extreme accept, on the other extreme reject. What are the merits of rejecting? One, of course, it rewards merit because you are only taking the best talent. You are not going by any favoritism, and of course, you uphold institutional values based on merit, good work culture, values, no corruption, no scope for nepotism, and you are of course listening to your conscience. This is much more important. You're not just there as a professional head but also as an individual who has some deep values and conviction in your conscience, in courage, in honesty, clean conscience. So these are all your personal traits and you can't go against them. Demerits, of course, institutions' growth will be severely impacted because one wrong entry could lead to a moral slippery slope. There could be many such demands in the future. That is one possible chance. Next, it may lead to more retaliatory actions from functionary, right? Because you are not recruiting the candidate recommended by him or her, you may have to face the consequences if they take it personally. Discussing with panel members, of course, this can bring a better solution through common expertise because everyone on the panel is entrusted the responsibility for recruitment, and all together they can come up with an answer to the questions. Demerits, this of course shows inability to take decisions, the lack of cooperation and negotiation skills to just simplify a problem. So it's more about negotiation. How well you are able to wade through the problem with least damage. Right? It might even send a wrong signal about the institution altogether. So how easily and quickly you're negotiating with it is much more important. So your leadership skills, presence of mind, negotiation skills are much more important here than your clean image. Right? So tackle those dimensions also. Complaining to higher authorities, as we've discussed, merit may be rewarded, funds could be allocated. So, both at the same time. So, both your needs, like you need to have merit recruited at the same time you want funds. So, both of the needs could be met at the same time. There's also a chance for disciplinary action against functionary. Demerits, this shows indecisiveness and inability to handle because you're passing on the buck to seniors and might even further delay funds because the entire process could take substantial amount of time and then you're done. Of course, by reporting, you could be clean to your conscience because you believe that there's no scope for favoritism, that no one should interfere into your work. That will, of course, make you happy. But what will you do? What is your course of action? So, I personally say that I'll not commit to anything to the functionary. So, right now, I won't say yes or no. I'll first try to examine the relative once he comes to the interview. So if the relative is highly qualified and is standing above everyone else, brilliant. He'll get the job and the institution get funds. So both at the same time. But if the relative is not qualified, there is a chance of pressure from functionary, right? If the if there is no pressure from functionary, you are lucky enough. So you'll find all alternatives reaching out to functionary and his superiors to get funds because though the relative is not qualified, if the functionary does not put any pressure, but maybe he may just stop funds, right? So you will try to find ways to reach out to him personally, request him, and also if he does not oblige, and also to his superiors to ensure that you get fund. But what if it is, yes, if there is immense pressure from functionary to not act, then you might have to complain to higher authorities. So he's stopping fund, he's not helping you, putting immense pressure, so you might have to approach. If you receive some positive response from higher authorities, you will ask them for fund also. Okay, so now that you resolved this, please provide funds also for the institute. But if they respond negatively, you might have to find alternatives, like find, you might find other meritorious candidates, and you might also have to reach out to super seniors or break the issue out into the open, if not to media, at least to even higher authorities. So wherever possible, all that you could do within the department, put immense pressure, negotiate, lobby, whatever you could do in your capacity, but ensure that the funds have reached you. This is what I propose as a solution. So as we have discussed so far, it is not about what you are doing but why you are doing it. Through this action, institutions' values are preserved, right? Standards for meritorious work culture are set by example, not just by speaking. I'm clean to my conscience and personal integrity. Of course, this is one more opportunity to assert against favoritism and preserve professionalism. Because of these reasons, because you strongly believe in these values, you are saying that I might go with this particular decision. That's it. If you have any further doubts, put it on the YouTube video. Before we say bye, let's examine tomorrow's question. Some recent developments such as introduction of RTI Act, media, judicial activism are proving helpful in bringing about greater transparency and accountability in the functioning of government. However, it is also being observed that at times the mechanisms are misused. Another negative effect is that officers are now afraid to take prompt decisions. Unfortunate. Analyze this situation in detail and suggest how this dichotomy can be resolved. Suggest how these negative impacts can be minimized. One thing we have to understand about work in bureaucracy is there is no rigid black and white, and most often these instruments are used to put civil servants in a definite zone of black and white. Okay, now though you have done this, then you are wrong. Because you haven't done that, you are wrong. So you cannot exactly bring in clear, there is no definite code of ethics or values for civil servants. They work between so many pressures, so many contradictory values and ethics, that finding one definite way out is impossible. If RTI, media, judicial activism are used to put pressure on bureaucracy and make them work in this rigid silos, then it's a problem. How is it affecting their working capacity? We expect you to write an answer for this, and we'll catch up tomorrow. Take care, guys. Please stay home and stay safe. Good night.